It's after midnight, and it's time for conversations about love, family, friends, sex, and life. It's Love and Life with Carol Riddick and Donavan West, only on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
Well, hello there, family. Hello there, Donavan. Welcome to a new day and a new year. There you are.
Yeah. Woo.
Yeah, how about that? How about that? Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are listening to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. You're listening to our program, our very first episode.
Our program, yo. Our program. Our first one.
I am Carol Riddick, and
I'm Donavan West. And you're listening to Love and Life.
yeah.
Woo. I'm excited. Are you?
Am I? I'm ecstatic. I'm excited. I'm trying to contain myself all in this moment. Family, if you are unfamiliar, we want you to know that Love and Life is an informative, entertaining, and we intend for it to be a refreshing show. We intend to tackle those hard conversations, everybody, about everything involving love and life.
That's right. So we want you to not just listen, but we want you to, participate in some way, shape, or form. We want to hear, what really is going to be most relevant, because ultimately this is not one of those just, glaze over type conversations. No. We're going to peel back the layers. We're going to dig a little deeper. So just as Carol mentioned, it's going to be very much informative. It's going to be also entertaining, because look what time of the night it is. Okay. We know that people aren't sitting up with their notepads and just, taking copious notes as we talk or as we have our conversations with our guests. But we want to make sure also that they're engaged. They're engaged in ways that, the conversations that we typically don't have, right? These taboo topics. Well, guess what? We're going to be talking about those taboo topics.
Yeah.
We're going to be covering things such as like healthy love, healthy life.
Mm-hmm.
And single love, single life, right? What does that look like? What does that really mean to you? And that's just a couple of the topics, right, Carol?
Absolutely. I was going to say, there's so many things to cover under the umbrellas of love and life. Donovan mentioned healthy love, healthy life, single love, single life. We're talking about divorce, loss of love. We're talking about everything with regard to romance, familial relationships, coupled love, coupled life. We're talking
Yeah.
about self-love. Anything and everything under those umbrellas is all full game here. That's what we're
That's
talking
right.
about.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So it doesn't matter what your status is, okay? Single, separated, married, divorced. It doesn't matter if this season is your cuffing season or your cuddling season, okay? It doesn't matter. Yeah, I said it, right? That's just a tip of what I'm going to be saying, right? And Carol, I know some of the conversations we've already had offline, it's going to be an amazing season of just discovery of debates. We don't see everything eye to eye, so I need y'all to know right off the bat, it's not going to be just a whole kumbaya situation. There's topics that I'm like, Carol, I don't know if I agree with you on that.
The one thing I will say is going to be real. It is going to be real and unapologetic, because that's what it should be.
That's right.
But we do have to make everyone aware that we won't be together every day.
That's right.
We wanted to come together today because today is our first episode. It's our introductory episode. So we wanted to come together as co-hosts and say hello and familiarize ourselves with you and you with
That's
us.
right.
And, so you can get to know us a little better.
But we have some great news, though. We do have some great news, and that is we won't be together all the time, but we will be together sometimes, at least once a week. We're going to come together and we're going to talk. Maybe it might be unpacking some of the topics that we covered throughout the week, or maybe it just may be something new and juicy that we just have to talk about as a family.
Yeah, there's always something going on, right? There's
Right?
always something to talk about. How about that? And so I want to, we just mentioned a few like the topics. I just want to be a little more descriptive about what we're talking about when we talk about healthy love and healthy life, right?
Yeah.
Those conversations, that can include anything from and emotional, mental, physical health.
Absolutely. If we can get into topics such as what is a healthy relationship, right? We can get into that and start to peel back the layers. What does that mean to you? What does it mean to me? We can get into some of those conversations. We can create, if you will, the kind of checklist for some people that may have some great ideas or concepts, but because they have been, and when I say they, I'm talking about the family over at WRD that we just joined in this capacity. They see the value of giving us a block of time where we can go into detail about that, which I'm so excited about. So no longer do we have to throw around these terms when we say, healthy love, healthy life. We don't just throw these concepts around, but we can actually start to peel back the layers and answer that proverbial question. Well, what does that actually look like?
Right. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited. I can't say it enough and I can't stress it enough because our show is just the platform to allow me to let go and to help me in my own maturation process.
Okay.
I'm an advocate of growth, and I feel that we should all check ourselves every now and again. And you and I are going to delve into so many topics where I'm sure I'm going to have to check myself every now and again about a few things. But that's a good thing. It is a good thing.
And by the way, you won't be by yourself, because I know at the end of the day, for myself, same thing. I have a spirit of continuous improvement. And I know there's going to be some things that I'm going to be called out on the carpet on, like, but wait, hold on. Wait, say that again. I may have to pause for a moment and pull out my own little notepad and be like, okay, note to self, I may need to go ahead and approach this differently. So I am excited about this journey too, Carol. And, I hope that our audience, let me change that. I don't hope it. I know that our audience is going to enjoy what it is that we're going to be covering in the immediate and near future.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. I'm totally in agreement with that. You and I have had a few conversations already about, in what direction we wanted to go and what we wanted to start with. And I'm so glad that even though we'll have our individual nights, I'm so glad that we're starting off our conversation together and that we will always come back together at the end of the week.
Yeah,
I'm so happy about that. No, I really, really am happy about that.
No, same here. I've never seen it anywhere else, so I'm excited to actually have it in this kind of format. Right, this is a pioneering kind of approach. And one thing I was thinking about as we were talking about the different topics we're going to cover, right? The different segments. We got healthy love and single love and couple love and sexual love and self-love and all these other things that we want to do, right? Which one of the topics are you most interested in diving into and really peeling back the layers and opening it up for our audience, as well as maybe even that for personal reasons, not just professional? Which one of those topics you think jump out at you the most?
Actually, you know what? There are two for me.
Okay.
Yeah. So, as I've stated, I'm an advocate for self-improvement. So self-love is always at the top of my list. I always want to, I'm always, I'm on a continuous journey to find different things to help improve upon myself. But I tell you that toxic relationships, that would be the other thing that I want to really, really, really get into.
That healthy love, huh?
That healthy love.
Okay.
Healthy love. Yeah. And I say, toxic relationships to be more specific, because that's something, I've had a history with that. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen, let me give you your flowers right now, Carol, for just nice and early being transparent with me and the audience right now in this space. Real talk.
That's why we're here though, right? I mean, I say family, and I don't say it lightly. I don't mean it lightly,
Yeah,
and that's why you and I are here. And listen, we're we're spending some late night hours together. So if
that's
I
right.
can't be real, open, honest, and transparent now, then what am
What
I
are you
doing?
doing?
Exactly.
Let that be
What
the
am I
first
doing?
PSA. Let that be the first PSA that we issue, right? Anyone that you're going to be spending some late night hours with, right? Anyone,
You
you need to just get to know them just a little bit better and hopefully foster the kind of environment where you can have that kind of transparency that we're demonstrating this early into our broadcasting life.
how
Right.
about
So,
that?
so thanks so much for being a shining example of that by saying, hey, look, you know what? This part here, especially as it relates to, if I heard you right, the toxic portion of relationships, right?
Mhm.
The impact and identifying the trend and saying, you know what, I need to do something about that. For myself, I have to say we're twinning, we're twinning when it comes to self-care, especially. And on the self-care side of things, mental health, right? Mental fatigue, I think,
Yeah.
is setting in many instances. For myself, I go in a million different directions, 1,000 miles per hour, and with the big old S on my chest, often just running to this place, that place, putting out fires, and sometimes, not sometimes. Let me stop. A lot of times, forgetting about me,
Mhm. Oof.
forgetting about me. And I think how that impacts my relationships is sometimes, I may feel like not feel like I may literally just be on tilt and and have like lack of emotional or mental bandwidth to really engage and be present the way that I'd really like to, because
Yeah.
I did not give myself a fair portion when it came to that level of grace and love and mercy, and just sit with myself and work on myself at times. So of all these topics, that self-love, that self-care component, definitely rings loud to me. So I'm really excited about being convicted. I know not many people
Yeah.
say that, but the more that I hear from our subject matter experts that we got lined up and the
Mhm.
conversation we're already having with you and others, like the more you become convicted of that, outside of what you might think in your little ecosystem that we create to survive certain situations, there are better ways to handle this whole thing.
That you just said a whole boatload. Did that right there? That was so loaded. So
Thanks.
loaded. But I
Yeah,
commend you too for your honesty and for your transparency. And I have to say that I am beyond ecstatic that we are the co-hosts of this show, because this is going to be a good time. You hear me, everybody? When I tell
yeah,
you that, I understand we're delving into some hard topics, but and I are here and we're up for the job. We're up for it.
that's right. And we're not here, by the way. We do understand it's late hours, but we are not here to put you to sleep. Okay,
No,
what we're
no.
here for. We're here to stimulate those neurons, those things that keep you up. We do want to address them, but we want you
Mhm.
to, we hopefully are going to provide you the kind of content, the information, and different strategies for how to have these types of conversations, in your living room or dining room or your bedroom, right?
Wherever.
In your office space or whatever, right? We want to make sure that you have the tools you need. And as we go on this journey, it's going to sound just like this. This conversation we're having, it's just a conversation. We're not here to preach to you. We're not
Mm-mm.
here to do some PowerPoint presentation. That's not what we're here for. We're here to begin the dialogue, continue the dialogue, and sow some seeds along the way without judgment.
There
Without
you have
judgment.
it. This is a judgment-free zone.
Say
I
that
know
one more
we
time.
we joked about that, but just in conversation between you and I, but this is a judgment-free zone. We're encouraging each other to
Yeah,
adult properly, to communicate effectively, because I say that all the time. I don't feel that as good and grown adults we communicate effectively.
we
You
don't.
know, no, we don't. We don't. But how about we will hear? We
That's
will
right.
hear.
That's right.
We
No
will
more.
hear.
So for those that are listening, there won't be the posturing. Okay, we
Mm-mm.
won't be doing a bunch of presentations and wearing of mask and all that stuff. And I hope already you heard from both Carol and myself just examples of that level of transparency. Because to be honest, I'm going to treat you all like family and be transparent like family. And hopefully, you'll feel the same way and do the same thing. But we know the first step in creating the kind of environment for that type of transformational dialogue to take place, we have to be a part of it. We have to put it out there ourselves.
Indeed.
And so here you see us both with with our chest plates open, right, and our vital organs exposed, hoping that you'll treat us with care and with also, like you said, without the judgment, because the reality is that we're all human. So I may say some things that you may not agree with. That's okay. In my transparency, I'm in my desire not to be politically correct. That's going to happen from time to time, and I'm sure Carol will. You go ahead and say your piece.
Exactly. I mean, that's what it is, though. That's what it is. But we did say, as you stated earlier, a moment ago, I should say, that we will have some professionals included in the conversations as well. So we'll offer what we have to offer. We'll have some professional individuals with expert information to contribute to what we're all offering. So, I mean, I'm saying this right here is where it is. This right here, Love and Life with Carol Riddick and Donavan West on WURD.
I like
Progressive Black Talk Media. Okay?
That's right. And progressive is what we are as well. So I like the ring of that. That sounds good. Love and Life. So you know what? One thing that we didn't do, we've been talking about just how excited we are about the show and some of the content and all that great stuff. One of the things we haven't done is we haven't really talked too much about like ourselves. And not that that's something that I really enjoy doing a whole lot of, but I think that for some people that are listening, they're like, by the way, Donavan, who are you? Hey, Carol, who are you? Right. And I think it's important that we talk a little bit about, I guess, our journey. So I'm going to turn the spotlight on you, Carol, and say, what is it that the audience need to know about your journey and why this topic, this show is something that's near and dear to you?
Okay. Well, this show is so near and dear to me because, as I stated, I'm an advocate for self-improvement. But I'm always also an advocate for helping the next man. I want to help the next woman. I want to help the next person, in any way that I can. And I feel like our platform, our show, Love and Life, is the perfect space, to do so. I feel like, our space is where we've already said where we intend to tackle those hard conversations. We intend to open those doors. We intend to, crack open some hard shells about some things that even I, maybe have never talked about or have felt uncomfortable about talking about. So the show is near and dear to me because it's a push for me to grow. It's a push for me to do some things that I'm encouraging others to do. And I love being in that position. I don't know necessarily that, knowing more about, what I do is a huge positive contributing factor to the conversation. But the fact that I'm here encouraging those who are listening and are watching and letting you know that this space right here is a safe space and is the space where we as family encourage and uplift one another. I think that's the most important thing, and
I think
I
it's
want to share.
Yeah, Carol, I hear you. I'm gonna push back a little bit. I'm gonna say that what you do definitely has an impact. I've definitely been a fan over the years as I've watched you perform. For those who don't know, and in many instances, when someone performs, certain love songs, that depict certain situations in our life, and they do it with a certain sense of authenticity, you start to wonder to yourself, I wonder what their journey is. I'm just saying, I'm just going to put it out there. So I'm going to say to you, what you do and how you've done in the past, I definitely am. I'm excited about learning more about your story because, it's one thing to be just talented in terms of, okay, you can sing or whatever, but there's another thing, you add another dimension in terms of when people can kind of receive the energy by which you may perform. So I'm interested in that. And I think that there's something in there, not to Dr. Phil you to death on this, but I think there's something there, even as you gave a little bit about, past relationships and stuff like that, that I think really lends itself to you being a really good fit for what we're doing here on this platform, in this space. So kudos to you. Real rap.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really honestly and truly do appreciate that. That whole conversation about, being a vocalist and the messages that I share, that's a whole nother
I know.
room. Yeah, that's a whole nother
Yeah.
room, But no, there's a lot of truth to what you were saying. It is a platform, and I'm grateful to be able to wedge the two together, the platform that we share, because the end result for me is the same. I want to improve upon myself, but I also want, through the messages that I share, to help others to improve upon themselves as well. So sir, thank you very much for that.
No problem. No problem. Just acknowledging where acknowledgement is needed. It's absolutely needed.
I want to talk about your history. I know that you've had some you've put some time in with regard to relationships and those discussions, and you've already begun to have some hard discussions in some areas where I've not. So I'm looking forward to having you double back in some areas and share some things.
Absolutely. I'm excited about that. I mean, yes, relationships have been a topic of discussion for some time for me in different spaces, whether, being a relationship coach for some time now, or creating in different other, platforms, an opportunity to talk about relationships, whether it's doing events like the relationship script event that I do, or the other things that I do on my IG page, Wednesdays with Wes. These types of things is just really to talk and get people into having more dialogue about relationships overall. And then also, more importantly, as a Black man, right? There's a lot that's going on. And as I mentioned to you earlier about like the mental health component, the challenges of navigating in this space. So for a Black man to navigate in certain spaces and communicate and to be transparent, I definitely want to make sure that I'm doing as much as I can to create the kind of environment for other, especially for men, to step up and to feel comfortable having that level of dialogue, to feel like they are in a safe space to talk about not just the things that we may struggle with, whether it may be employment or business or social justice, things in the criminal justice, all that stuff, but also in terms of the more intimate components of relationships, right? And how to be more transparent in that space and talk about our needs and what our challenges and fears are. So yeah, I'm excited about this platform. I'm excited about WURD Radio, the progressive station, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, and its app and the Facebook platform. We're going to be on all of that, talking about these tough topics, and hopefully encouraging more people to have those conversations in their space, right?
Exactly.
Okay, we are providing signs of life in this area.
How about that? How about that? I mean, that statement right there was prolific. We are providing signs of life.
Love and life, right?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. You said something about, that there's a lot going on, which there is. There's so much going on right now. And I don't want to discount the fact that we are in a new day, in a new year, that, we have just come out of a holiday season, still in a pandemic with numbers rising.
Yeah.
We're talking about all facets of relationships, and one of those facets is, involves, I should say, we're talking about living a healthy life and healthy love. And under that umbrella, that alone we can tie into the holiday season.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you talk about healthy life, healthy love. Think about that for a moment. So with COVID, right? Just our definition of what a healthy life is. right?
Mm-hmm.
We've been seeing that play out, especially during the holidays. You have situations where family members are not visiting other family members because they were not tested.
Mm-hmm.
Other family members are not even talking to each other because of their position on COVID, whether or not they actually believe is true, and other types of theories and philosophies. And so that's the cause of other relationships, being, having paused or broken to some extent, right? Depending on who you are and what type of relationships we're talking about. So
Right.
I think COVID, as it relates to relationships, has been a major player, a major player in terms of whether or not relationships have advanced,
Oh,
or
absolutely.
the first part of it, I think, which was last year when COVID first hit,
Mm-hmm.
and you're sitting here in the house, right? You have to self quarantine, and here you are looking at your family members or your boo, or your bae, and you start looking at them differently, right? Am I wrong?
No, you are so right about that. You are so right about that. You're talking about, and it's not just with regard to your household. You've got friends with whom you share differing opinion. You have differing
Mhm.
opinions. Everybody's life changed completely. Everybody's life. And and it's ongoing, because first the conversation was, okay, so what do we do?
Yeah,
How do we move? What do we do? And then other components started being added to that as the numbers grew and increased, and then more variants came about. So now here we are in the holidays, and what let me ask you. So as we progressed through this past year, how, or what, let me know, what what were some of the things that you did to try to maintain some semblance of comfort, I'll say? I won't even say normalcy, because our normal changed I think every other
yeah,
day. So,
yeah, yeah. One of the things that I did to maintain some level of, I'm going to say, connection. Let's just stay
okay,
just
okay,
to stay connected. I
okay,
think for me it became more of the same, and I'm gonna give you some cultural context for it. So, as a Jamaican kid growing up in this country, one of the major things that we focused on was just that periodic check-in. So I
hmm,
unfortunately, fortunately, right, I was used to not being around much of my family. So my family that's in Canada, that's in London, that's in Jamaica. So what we did is we had a periodic check-in. It was a phone call. Wasn't the best, obviously, especially during the holidays, it was not the best at all, because it just was a reminder of the family that we didn't have around us.
mm,
But it definitely had that feeling, especially in 2020, where it was just like, here we are again.
yeah,
I can't see you, or I shouldn't be around you. And so the thing that I did is I reverted to that kind of space of just, if I hear your voice, if I can just check in for a couple of minutes, and hear your voice, and talk to you for a moment or two, then at least I have that connection, right? Just doing that. And then
yeah,
obviously the difference between then and now is that we have video, right? So you can FaceTime, you can, whether you use Facebook or Instagram or these other platforms, if your phone doesn't normally allow, to be able to still now put a face with the voice, and still have that connection. So for me, it was about at least just connecting, so I can hear
hmm,
your voice, talk with you, look you in your eyes, and be able to say, hey, I see you. And hopefully from knowing them enough to go a little deeper if necessary, right? Because sometimes you can see if someone is their energy is a little bit low, or
mm,
the response is not what it normally is. And so hopefully creating the kind of space where someone can say, you know what, actually I'm not all right, right?
hmm,
I'm not
hmm.
all right, and this is really getting to me. But obviously not everything is perfect, but at least putting the energy out there to say, hey, if you want to talk about it, or if you're digesting this differently
And
than how I might be digesting it, right? Let's talk about it. And that was the beginning for me. How about you?
I'm glad you talked about comfort as it relates to connection,
Yeah.
because for me, at first, it was the whole panic, like, okay, so what do I do now? How do I move? What's next? And then when I stood still, prayed on it, at my core, what I felt was that I missed my family. And you know what is interesting to me about that is that, I travel a lot for work, and I'd gotten so used to doing so
Mm-hmm.
that I was in my own bubble. But
Yeah.
when I was forced to sit still, I missed my family. I missed, family members that I didn't even know. I missed them, and so I started a Zoom call with my family.
Nice.
It was once a week at first. We started doing it once a week, but that was so good for it really, really lifted my spirit, and it was so good for my mental health because I didn't realize just how much I needed them.
Mm-hmm.
It always takes just something that you just don't even realize to just put you
Right.
back in that
Yeah.
space. But I didn't realize how much I needed the connection, how much I needed just to see some of them, and to meet others of them, because I didn't know some of my family members, but it really helped tremendously. And then we did something. One of my family members suggested something that we had never done before. We lost some family members, during the pandemic. Thank you. And one of my family members suggested that we do a lantern, a lantern lighting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we went to an open space so that we were
Ah, that's smart.
so that we did not have to be as close to those who did not share the same household.
Right.
So we were in different spaces, but we lit lanterns for our loved ones that we lost, and it was so. And then we Zoomed it for the family members who couldn't be there. But it was such an uplifting
Wow. I'm sure
experience.
that was powerful.
It was. It really was. I want to remind everybody, if you've just tuned in or if you're just turning us on, you're listening to Love and Life with Carol Riddick and Donovan West on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. We're talking about everything under the umbrella of
Right.
love, life, every relationship, every facet of every relationship under those umbrellas. Donovan and I were just sharing stories about our families, and, just touching on some of the topics that we will discuss as our program grows and moves forward. We are so happy
Yes, we
that
are.
I know I'm speaking for you and me. We're so happy to be here. We're happy to actually begin these conversations. And I'm saying that because you expressed that to me, in our offline conversations. We've both agreed that we're just happy to begin talking about some of these topics.
Yeah.
Because they're so it's so necessary. Like you were saying,
Absolutely necessary.
it's so necessary. And it's necessary that we come together as a Black man and a Black woman and talk about them too.
That's right. There's not enough of that. And let's talk about that dynamic for a moment, right? Because I mean, right now we're in a space and place that is so divisive, right? Either you're listening or watching this Black woman as she talk about her perspective, or you see this Black man as he talks about his perspective. But how often do you see a Black woman and a Black man talk together about these things? And while we're not going to be hosting every show together, we will be coming together at least once a week to talk about it as a family, to talk about it like a unit, right? And provide some additional perspective from both sides, from both genders on different topics. And I think that dynamic is something that's also it's rare. And it's needed more now than ever, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially, let's not forget, we need each other. We all need each other. And I feel like this is like the catalyst,
It
you
is.
and I. Yeah, this is the catalyst. And I'm happy to be a part of that.
So before the millions of independent women out there start saying, "What do you mean I need?" And before the fellas are saying, "Hold up, what are you talking about? What? I'm good. I got my pause. This is the stuff we are going to talk about, right? We're going to peel back the layers and say, why do you believe that? we're going to talk about how we've been programmed historically to think these ways, think so independent and in such a divisive way that has us where we are now currently. And so we're going to talk about those things and dig into some of those topics and other topics. I'm so excited. I wish we could talk about them all like right now, but we gotta pace ourselves and
Pace.
if you're just now tuning in, we're just talking about just a little piece about how we're navigating during this COVID crisis, right? The relationships that we have and the different things that we're doing. And Carol was just talking about, at a ceremony for acknowledging the loss, the passing of certain family members, and you talk about a topic that I think is very sensitive, right? And this was something that many people experience for the first time, and that is when you lose someone, but you're unable to actually go through the tradition of how we celebrate a loss or how we memorialize someone, right? And so you brought up a great idea where certain family members were able to come together, and then you zoomed while for those who were unable to be there and be present, and you still had some sense of a ceremony that took place. And while we're not here to talk in great detail about loss in itself, we would be remiss if we did not acknowledge loss, because it does impact relationships tremendously. When we think about how relationships tend to go left or right as a result of loss, right? And COVID definitely brought losses by the dozens, the hundreds of thousands, if you will, to our community, in addition to everything else we're already experiencing. So we are excited to talk about the topic, even though, as Carol mentioned earlier, some of these topics are not the most pleasant topics to talk about, but we got to do it. We have to do it, right, Carol?
Absolutely. That's how you grow.
That's it.
That's how you grow. When you face your fears and you talk about those things that are uncomfortable. That's growth. And I was saying to you that, that's one of the biggest reasons I am excited to share this space with you, because I'm encouraging my own growth as I'm encouraging everybody else's growth.
I like that. I like that a lot. I think also, as far as for those that are listening, you have the comfort of listening, watching us, from wherever you may be at, whether it's you're at home, or you're late shift, you're at work or whatever, or you just may be in transport from A to B. You have the ability to hear us, to participate in some way, shape, or form. We want to make sure that this is relevant and relational, right? Absolutely. It's got to be relevant and relational to what's going on in your space, and that you feel comfortable, again, with the information we share, because it's not just about being informative, but it's also about being engaging and entertaining, so that we can find ways to bring up these topics in different spaces. This is not something that we're expecting for you to sit there in a clinical space with your marble notebook and just take notes as we talk about different things. Not at all. The topics we're going to cover are going to be a wide range. And so some things may be where you're like, you know what, I need to click on that link and I need to do some more research on that particular topic. And others you may know like the back of your hand. And we're just providing some additional perspective. So, I think I'm speaking for Carol and myself when I say, you know what, we are here for all of it. Okay?
Every bit of it. Every bit of it.
Every thunderstorm and every rainbow. Okay, we're here for all of it.
I want to go back to something. I made the statement that we're in this together, that we need each other. You touched upon it after I said it, and I want to go back to it because I think that it's necessary for me to say that I said that, because man and woman, yin and yang. We I don't know that there's a simpler way to put it or a simpler way to say it, but it is necessary in order to have a whole. There's some pieces to that whole, and we comprise those two pieces, man and woman, and it is so necessary for us to not only share our perspectives but be open to each other in doing so. And all of these topics that we're talking about, discussing, I think at the core of it, we should also encourage an open mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we will share our perspectives, but as we said, we'll also have experts to share some information as well, but to be open minded about it all, because as we become these good and grown adults, we carry a lot of judgment with us sometimes.
Yeah.
We
We're the sum of our experiences, aren't we?
There you have
Right.
it.
And
There
so
you
as a
have it.
result of those dents, those bumps and bruises, those emotional minds that still lay under the surface that have yet to be, disarmed, right?
Mhm,
We
mhm.
we walk around real proud of having been survivors, if you will, right? Of
Absolutely.
whatever it is that we've experienced in life. But how much of that may actually be holding us back from getting into that growth mindset that you speak of, right? That ability to actually say, what are some new ways, some new behaviors, some other beliefs that I might need to integrate into my current lifestyle, my mindset, that'll allow me to be a better person, that allow me to enjoy life, with more of me in it, as opposed to what's left, right, from the different traumas and experiences we've had in the past. So I like what you're saying about how we need to show up.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm so glad, when we're on one accord. It always I love it when a plan comes together, when we're on
There
one
you go.
accord. I mean, we're going to have those days where we won't be, but I think it's so important that we are mindful, and that we're letting everyone else know that we're being open minded as we move along, and we're encouraging you to do so as well. Because we're going to talk
Carol,
about
something else you mentioned. I'm
say.
sorry, the open-mindedness part, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really key. But here's something else that I thought just now.
Okay.
Good old-fashioned trust,
Oof.
right?
Whew,
Like
whew,
literally,
whew.
I got it. Because some of our conversations, like you said, we're gonna be like, I don't see how you. Where did that come from? I think ultimately, if I can trust you, right,
Mhm.
I can still be open to listening to you, right? Because that trust part, meaning I know that you mean me no harm, right? That you're whatever it is that I'm hearing from you, that it may not be something that I was anticipating hearing from you. It doesn't matter. Just trusting that it's coming from a trusted source, right? It's coming from a trusted source.
Absolutely.
So it should be, at a very minimum, it should be heard and then considered. So I just want to throw that out there to the people as well, because it's not enough that we say, okay, you know what? Yes, we need each other. We need to hear that. We need to
Mhm.
demonstrate that. But what does that actually look like? I think one of those key words, right? And it's a lot easier said than done, right?
Whew.
Because of the journey, like you said, if you've been around for a couple of years or a little bit more than
Mhm.
that, right? That whole thing about trust gets harder and harder for you to demonstrate that, especially in new relationships. So I just want to put that out there, that I think that's something that's also necessary for this journey. What are your thoughts?
No, you're absolutely right about that. I mean, at the core of it is trust, because if you are not trusting, you will not be open, and you will not grow. No, it's all in succession. So you're absolutely right. At the core of it all is trust. And our family members are trusting us, with
Yeah,
these conversations and these topics, and with their time, their energy, and their participation. They're trusting us. They're putting
that's true.
a lot into us. Family, if you are just tuning in, we want to remind you that you're listening to Love and Life with Carol Riddick and Donovan West on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. That's 96.1 FM and 900 AM. We've been having, oh my goodness, we've just been talking about a few things. I'll say just a
Yeah,
few things, but we've been letting all of you know what we intend to bring in the future with our future episodes. I expressed that I'm really right now where I am in my headspace. I'm really big on self-love, and I was expressing to Donovan that I can't wait to get into the conversation about being in those toxic relationships as
Yeah.
well, because that's something with which I've had experience, and I'm not happy about it. But hey, that was a part of my journey, right? So,
Okay,
I'm,
you're not by yourself. You're not by yourself.
uh,
I definitely have to raise my hand too, and definitely agree. I've been a part of those types of relationships as well, more than once, and I definitely was a person that experienced it, a person that perpetuated it at times. So
mhm,
I'm looking forward to having that conversation in greater detail, and hopefully encouraging our audience to identify with these different topics. Right? It's not just about us. We're just part of the platform. We're tools, if you will, to help to manifest these types of conversations and the kind of environment to that hopefully can be the model, right? Be the
yeah,
model for many to have the courage to have in their spaces with family members and friends and other loved ones. So Carol, thank you so much, because the temperament and the energy that is needed to be able to have this conversation in a way that it doesn't come off too clinical or too aggressive, right? But to be just right. So for people to say, hey, listen, we're not trying to encroach and
at
become like colonizers and just say you must do this and preach fire and brimstone to everyone. That's not what we're here for.
Not at all. Not at all. At the top of the program, at the top of our episode, we were making it clear to everybody that we're here to have these discussions. We're here to be open and honest. We're here to, we're here to be unapologetic, our unapologetic selves, and we're here to have real talk, real conversations.
That's right. That's right. We're
And I
not
love that.
here. We're not here to do commercials and
No, no, no,
and
no.
and these scripted kind of conversations that were brought to you by this entity or that entity. No, we're here to talk in ways that are going to be culturally sensitive, culturally relevant, culturally competent, real talk as is, no frills. We're going to keep it 100 at everyone.
Mm,
And if you just want to listen because you're not ready for that, we understand. Still listen though, right? Because this is the model. The model is that we need to be able to do that, but we're going to do it in a way where it's not to convict you and to create this kind of divisive space that a lot of media does. This is to
mhm.
encourage. This is to say, hey, listen, back to what Carol mentioned around adulting. Adulting requires that we have
Yeah.
some conversations that may not be the conversations that you may typically have, but we want to encourage you to have these conversations nonetheless for you to be in pursuit or active pursuit of your better self, because we're doing the same thing, by the way. We just got the cameras on, we got the mics, we're all mic'd up, and as we go on our journey, right, we're just inviting you in, and we think that's probably the most organic and authentic way to
Yeah.
really breach these topics, right?
I am in full agreement with that. I want to let our family members know, Donovan, since we are coming upon the close of our first hour. Oh my goodness, can you believe
Woo-hoo.
it? I want to let them know that in our second hour, we've got just a little something that we
Uh,
our songs and situations. I was going to set it
yeah.
up, a little differently, but we have a segment in our next hour, ladies and gentlemen, family members alike, that we intend to have a little fun with, if you'll say, maybe. So songs and situations is coming up in our next hour. You want to tell them a little bit about that, Tom?
Yeah, yeah. Songs and situations when we're going to break down, we're going to dissect some of the songs that you've heard over the years. Some are more recent, some go back, but we want to provide a little context for it, right? We want to dig into those lyrics and hear what it is that they're saying and then what they're not saying. So
Yeah.
I think this is going to be, I'm so excited about this segment. I can barely contain myself. This is going to be fun. So, and this is a regular segment that we'll do, right? So you'll be surprised the songs that we pull, and you know what? At some point, we'll also ask for some additional input and insight on
Oh
some
yeah.
future songs we want to dissect. But we have already a list of songs we are sure you're going to enjoy. And as you can see, Carol can barely contain herself as well, because some of these songs you're gonna be like, wait, what? What were they really saying? Some of them you know already, and
Right.
you're familiar with it, but I don't know if you've done the breakdown like how we're going to do it. So I'm sure you're in for a treat, everyone.
You know how that is, though. You listen to a song and family, I'm talking to everybody. You know how it is. You listen to a song, but you don't really listen to
Right.
a song. So I'm so looking forward to that little bit of fun that we're going to have.
Uh,
Songs and situations is, what would you say? That's just fun, just waiting to happen.
it's fun waiting to happen. To some extent, it's going to be scandalous.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think ultimately, like, yeah, I'm thinking about some of these songs, and you read them, and then you pause and you say, "Hold on, were they really? Is that really where they were going?" So, for those of you who may say, "You know what, the music today, oh my God, it's on some next level." I know back in the day, our music was, this way, that way. It was this much better. You might want to hold on to that topic, that sentiment. Some of the songs that we're going to break down, you're going to like, wait, what were they saying? What was the situation? But these situations, be clear, the situations that they speak about, these are classic, human
Yeah.
nature. We may think that there's something altogether new happening in this space. And the reality is that as human beings, nah, it's the same stuff, just different characters to some extent.
That's
And
all.
yeah, and the beat just keeps going. But that's coming up in the next hour, But Carol, we're almost at the close of our first hour. How are you feeling?
I know. I feel awesome. You hear me? I
Yeah.
feel awesome. I want to remind, well, not even remind, I want to let our family members know, those who have just joined the room, everybody, you're listening to Love and Life with
That's
Carol
right.
Riddick and Donovan West on
That's right. Finally, right?
WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. I like saying that.
I know.
Progressive Black
Aggressive.
Talk Media, because that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what we are and what we're striving for. Donovan and I are here to encourage all of those hard conversations about everything involving love and life. You have just participated with us in our first hour. We've got another hour coming up with some more fun, some more interesting topics, all of that good stuff. This is the place where we share honest opinions without judgment. Love and
That's
life.
right. That's right. That's right. And some of the segments, man, whether it is healthy love, healthy life, or single love, single life. Of course, conversely, we got to have coupled love, coupled life. These are just some of the topics, but there's many more to come. Also, different segments that as we go further on in the programming season, we're going to introduce. So I think everyone is in for a treat for, just something that they have not experienced before, that we haven't experienced before, but we're excited to be at the helm of. So,
Oh, yeah.
for those that are watching, we want and listening, we want you to know ultimately that it's about an experience that's organic, that's transparent, that's vulnerable. And we
Yeah.
know that this is the first show, so it's not going to happen overnight. We understand that. We understand that. Just give us an opportunity, give us a chance, and take the opportunity also. As you're having this experience, take the opportunity to share with those of you that have circles or networks or friends
Mhm.
that you think would actually like to hear some more about this. Right? We want to make sure that this grows and that in your comfort zone, your comfort space, in your network, you're able to say, "Hey, did you listen to last night's show? What are your thoughts?" Right? We want you to create that kind of space because we're here literally to get this going. We want to create the kind of momentum that turns this from a show into a movement where people are talking just more openly and freely about a
Yeah.
number of these different topics and the activities that will be facilitated.
I could not have said it better. I could not have said it better. Oh my goodness, family. Right here is Love and Life with Carol Riddick and Donovan West on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. That's 96.1 FM and 900 AM. We're encouraging you to join us at midnight. That's right. Join us at midnight where we have those hard conversations, everybody. We'll see you in the next hour.
Let's go. Let's do it.